Hey guys, how's it going? This is Deadly. Welcome back to another episode of Ask Deadly, the weekly show where I read your guys' questions and do my best to answer them. And this week we're going to be talking a lot about the comparisons between Battlegrounds and DayZ and the longevity of the game Battlegrounds near the end of the video, which is going to be a pretty big discussion, as well as answering some of little questions about DayZ 0.62 and other little DayZ tips and things that you guys have been asking me in the comments. So let's get started. So the first question this week comes from Sunny. How do you get your field of view so wide? Well, on your number key, on your number pad, there's the minus and the plus sign. All you gotta do is double tap the minus key and it will bring your field of view out. And if you want to return it to normal, you can just double tap on the plus sign. It also works the same way for optics. Instead of just holding the right mouse button to zoom on your optic, you can pick the exact distance you want to be using with your optic by pressing the plus key or the minus key. Hey Deadly, I was just wondering why don't you use the sawed-off double barrel? Well, most of the time if I have a double barrel, I'm probably using it as my primary, which means I want the extended range from both of the shots. And typically when I use it as a secondary is when I have weapons like the Mosin or a bolt action or something. And most of the time I don't get lucky and find that hacksaw, or I never get a chance to really build a double barrel. There was a few times where I have used the sawed-off shotgun on the channel. Just search sawed-off on my YouTube channel and it should bring up a number of videos that features PvP using that weapon. Do you think they're going to add base building, and when do you think they'll add it? Well, base building is already confirmed, so it will be coming to DayZ down the road. And from what we know, sometime after patch 0.63. That's all we can really say about it, but there's a lot that's already in the game files. If you go to the DayZ Trello, you can take a look at some of the early renderings of walls, towers, improvised bases, things like that. For starters, I've been watching you for a little over a year and love your content. But my question I would like to ask is, in the near future with DayZ, do you think they plan on expanding the map, making new towns? And also, do you think they will make 100-player population servers? Well, thank you. I'm glad that you've been enjoying the videos. It's been confirmed that there will be 75 players at least on the DayZ servers, with the hope to allow admins to make 100-person servers. I think DayZ is best played at 75 players. 100 might be a bit hectic with the current map size, and you still want to make sure that the world feels believable and not overly populated. And with the most recent update for DayZ 0.62, I think the developers have already shown that they want to continue to develop the far western reaches of the map. There's a lot of changes, and it looks like a completely different Chernarus out there. So if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend that you go check out Mishkino Military Base or the Lapatino checkpoint area. Do you guys ever sleep? Yeah, man, of course. I mean, I'm streaming a lot, and I also make a lot of YouTube videos. But that pretty much puts it to about 10 hours a day maximum that I'm going to be doing both. Some days is more than others, like if I do a 12-hour stream or a very long stream, but I have it down to a good creative system that I can probably get most of my work done throughout the week at just over 55 hours. And for those that were wondering how much sleep I get, I don't know, maybe there's somebody out there that's curious since we're on the topic. I think it's good to have at least 5 hours of sleep, they say. But I usually get 6 to 7. How do you feel 0.62 has changed combat during PvP? And do you feel though that his combat is better or worse in this update? From what I've experienced, combat feels better, but if I go back and rewind the calendar, 0.61 felt the exact same way. And the reason is because the persistency was being wiped on a regular basis. So the servers just performed better, and if the servers were performing better, PvP worked. So it's going to be a really big test to see how well PvP combat does on stable servers, because it's a little bit too early to tell. I remember last update, I jumped the gun saying desync was gone from combat, and that was just a mistake. It's definitely back in 0.61. So right now on experimental, it feels really good, but we'll have to wait and see. What are your thoughts on the 5.56 scout rifle coming in beta? How do you think it will affect the game? Well, the 5.56 rifle is definitely not going to be one of those weapons that can one-tap kill you. They might increase the shock damage on the rounds, so it might be a really good rifle to knock out players, which is something that we definitely need more of. Less weapons that can one-tap kill you, and more options for like taking people captive and stuff and robbing their supplies and leaving the characters alive. So I think the Scout 5.56 is going to do really well for that. But the thing about the 5.56 or 2.23 round is it has a really high velocity. So you're probably going to have to lead your target less when you're sniping them. Your round is going to travel faster, so you'll become a little bit more accurate, so it's going to be great for headshots. I think the Scout 5.56 is going to be an amazing weapon for people who like to go for those headshots. So I think it's going to be a nice addition to the game. We definitely need a scouting rifle in the 5.56 caliber in DayZ. I find your DayZ content simply amazing. However, I struggle to get the same feeling with PUBG. Not because you or any way you play it, it just doesn't have the same random feelings or events that DayZ brings. How do you feel about PUBG? Do you think it will be as popular in, say, 6 to 12 months? Well, I think you need to look at Battlegrounds in the same way that you would look at a MOBA game like Dota 2 or League of Legends. It has that competitive atmosphere and that competitive formula that just attracts players. So for those that are really into Battlegrounds, the content is going to be a lot more appreciated than, say, somebody who's not too interested and prefers DayZ. DayZ also, as you said, you mentioned it yourself, has that randomness, that survival, the story. You play on a good roleplay server or roleplay PvP server, you get some amazing bits of content. In fact, I'm going to be honest, there's not a whole lot of work that I have to do on like the editing side to make really fun, goofy stories or some good PvP. I just know where to play and I surround myself with good players and the content just comes naturally. And it makes my job a lot easier whenever I'm playing on a community server of people who really just want to play DayZ at the best possible level, PvP and RP included, and that's the DayZ Underground feeling. Now, when it comes to Battlegrounds, will it be popular in 6 to 12 months? Oh, you can bet your ass it will. It's overtaking H1Z1. It probably won't, but H1Z1 King of the Kill is really not as competitive now thanks to Battlegrounds. And we're just getting started with Battlegrounds, man. PlayerUnknown knows how to work very quickly. So I think this is just the beginning for the Battlegrounds community. And I find myself doing reasonably well at the game. I ended at rank 200 for kill rating last season. And I haven't even really got started this season yet. In the first couple games, I got 2 wins in a row in some really high kill count games. So I consider myself somebody who is definitely an intermediate player that is becoming better. And that strive to become better at the game is what's keeping me interested in. But I understand that you guys like DayZ for different reasons. You guys enjoy PvP, but the way we do PvP here, there's a lot of content that goes with it, a lot of robbery, a lot of drama. Maybe I shoot somebody in the head and people don't like that. That's good though, because it gets people invested. There's a lot of emotion sometimes. DayZ is an incredibly emotional game at times, and there's barely any other game out there that can even come close to that. So I'm well aware of it. So I think a balance though of Battlegrounds and DayZ content is good for me and my channel moving forward. Maybe there's not that many people right now that are interested in my Battlegrounds content, but I love the game so much that I think that passion is going to shine through, and some people may want to come over and watch some Battlegrounds. But for my DayZ fans, I absolutely do not expect you guys to watch the streams or the videos. It's just there for people who want to watch it. So I'm not going to get upset if like the viewer counts are lower or anything like that. I know what I'm getting myself into. If it's a game that I love to play, I'll be streaming it and making videos on it. What do you think if they added a better bow you could find and another you could build, make it more powerful, shooting further, but needing more tools and stuff? The actual arrow shot distance is really, really bad. I made a bow myself with an axe and a string in real life, and I could shoot precisely at like 40 meters. In the game, it's way too slow and you make distance really bad. Oh, and the arrows I used weren't even feathered, just thin pieces of sticks. Well, I actually got a rare chance to ask Brian about this, and we know that the recurve bow is in the game files, but it will not be entering the game until after 0.63. So hopefully soon. The whole bow system needs to be redesigned, but it's not a critical issue because right now the bow actually does work reasonably well in DayZ, so give it another shot. And in DayZ 0.62, all of the bow sounds and impact sounds of the arrows have been changed. Although there is a minor bug when it comes to pulling back the bow. Let's say you didn't want to fire the arrow, you typically would press R, currently that takes the arrow out and puts it into your inventory or onto the ground. So that will need to be fixed. But for the most part, the bow is actually working reasonably well, but the dexterity of the bow needs to increase dramatically. As for the shot distance, I think the shot distance is definitely reasonable. The composite arrows actually go extremely fast, far, and accurate. The worse that you go, like if you want to shoot the sharpened sticks, they're not going to be that accurate. Fletch sticks, a little bit better. Bone arrows, significantly better. Composite arrows go very, very, very far. So use those, and I'm sure that you might have some luck with killing some players with the bow. Well, guys, that's all for this week's episode of Ask Deadly. If you guys want to get a chance to get your questions read on broadcast, then please do leave them in the comment section below. I really want to thank everybody who did from last week, almost 150 people, which is absolutely insane. Be sure to check out the daily live streams every single morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sundays at noon, and subscribe here to the channel for more daily content here on YouTube.